In the year 2000, Toy Biz introduced the first series of Spider-Man classics, the precursor to the immensely popular Marvel Legends. It leaned into the popularity of Spider-Man the Animated Series using the font for its packaging, and oddly enough, we didn't get a Classic Spider-Man in the Spider-Man Classics line till Series 2 in 2001. And today, we're taking a look at Classic Spider-Man, here on KREED'S Collection. Hey, and welcome back to another episode of KREED'S Collection. My name's Creed, and today we're checking out Classic Spider-Man from the 2001 Spider-Man Classics toy line by Toy Biz. Spider-Man, you know him, you love him, and I've covered his origin before, so I'm going to take this time to talk about how this action figure line was the future, and we didn't even know it. This ushered in the new era of amazing sculpt and paintwork, crazy articulation, and premium packaging. It was the idea of a collectible first and a toy second, even though it's a great toy as well. And now that we know a bit more about the influence of the Classic Spider-Man line, let's take a closer look. I remember when this figure came out because I was extremely excited to get my hands on it. I saw him in Walmart for the first time, and right away, one of the things that struck me about the figure is how tight the web pattern was on the costume. I also like the muted red and the fact that he's not blue, but almost a black here, because originally on Amazing Fantasy 15, it was supposed to be a black and red costume. I think the placement and size of the spider logo is great, and even though he has a slightly alien-shaped head in the profile and his eyes are a little strange, I still like the way it looks, and I think it's very classic Spider-Man, and it should be, because that's what it is. For a first attempt at a highly detailed figure, they did really well. You can see his ribs here, and in general, the sculpt work on his muscles is pretty great. Not to mention the fact that the costume continues to look really good all the way down to the belt. And if you look over here, you can actually see the button for his web shooters on his palm, as well as the nozzle where it fires out. So you can take his fingers that are articulated and flip them over and actually make them shoot a web. I'd never seen this before in a Spider-Man figure, and I was very impressed with this. As you come down, you can see his legs are well sculpted. They go into his boots, which I really enjoy how big his feet are. In the comics, they're usually big and gangly, and also the toe articulation here is excellent. I figured it was about time I did a video on this figure since he's been in a bunch of other KREED'S collections, including the first ever episode, and I really think he's let that go to his head. Not only am I in the first episode of KREED'S Collection ever, I'm also in the one with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Yeah, kid, so am I. And Creed told me I'm his favorite Spider-Man now, even over you. What? That's not true. That's impossible. Creed, did you tell him that I'm not your favorite Spider-Man anymore? Yeah, Creed. Tell him. Oh, well, it's time for me to do the articulation. As we already established, Spidey's toes can go up and down, and his foot can also flex up and down as well. Then here at his shin, he has a rotation. It's hidden by the line of his boot. Now here at the knee, he does have the double jointed knee for super butt kicking action. Oh yeah. Now here he also has a swivel point at the thigh. He has a ball joint at the hip, and then of course he has a swivel waist. He also has an ab crunch built in so he can flex forward and back. Shoulder can go up and swivel around. And then here at the forearm, here at the elbow, he has a double jointed elbow that folds in pretty far, although not quite as far as modern Marvel Legends. Now here at the forearm, he has a swivel point as well. Wrist can flex down and up. And also, of course, he's got the fingers that can flex down and hit his web shooters for thwipping action. Now here at the neck, he has, at the base, he's got a swivel point and a ball joint. Then he also has a swivel point and ball joint here as well. So you can look left and right and all around. And that covers all 30 points of articulation for Classic Spider-Man. Now we're going to take a look at Spider-Man's one included accessory. It is this Daily Bugle billboard. You can see there's lights here on the front. And Spider-Man has vandalized J. Jonah Jameson with his webs, which is pretty funny. As we come down, you can see there's some nice stonework on this faux building ledge. And then there's also this brick wall, and if you look closely, there are pegs here to peg Spider-Man into it. And also up here, you can peg him into the billboard ledge as well. If we flip it over, you can see here on the back, there is a spot where you can hang it from a nail or a screw. And you can also see the copyright information right here, 2001 Marvel Entertainment. Here's a quick look at Spider-Man pegged into the brick wall, which I think looks really cool. I have to say, out of all the accessories I've seen, this is a pretty nice one. And here's how it looks when it's hanging from the wall, which is pretty sweet. So I've got this guy in the box still, so I figured I'd show you what it looks like really quick. You can see that there is another accessory, and it is the Amazing Fantasy 15 reprint. You can see Series 2 right there, and of course the billboard in the back, along with the Spider-Man the Animated Series font, and a little thing here talking about his 30 points of articulation. On the back, you can see information about the Spider-Man Classics line, as well as Classic Spidey himself. And then right down here, you can see all 4 figures in Series 2. And yes, I have all 4 of them, but I've only opened this one. The copyright information for Spidey is located on the bottom of his left foot. 2001 Marvel Entertainment, made in China. And now for our He-Man size comparison. Spider-Man's just a little bit taller than He-Man, and these two, as we've already established, stood at the feet of Godzilla in the very first size comparison ever in Episode 1 of Creed's collection. Hey He-Man, I haven't seen you since, well, the first episode of Creed's collection. Ha ha ha, I forgot you were in that episode. Yup, and it turns out he picked you for the size comparison. I mean, he could have just as easily picked me, and then it would be the Spider-Man size comparison. That has a pretty good ring to it, huh? I don't think so. After all, I'm He-Man. Who's more classic than me? Dude, classic is literally in my name. I'm Classic Spider-Man. Who's more classic than me? Seriously? Well, this is awkward. Maybe just a little bit. Anyway, here's Classic Spider-Man next to the 8-inch 1973 Mego Spider-Man. And here he is next to the Marvel Legends Retro Spidey from 2021. I love both these figures quite a bit, but I think it's kind of obvious the new Spidey takes the cake. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my toy retrospective for Classic Spider-Man from the 2001 Spider-Man Classics toy line by Toy Biz. I started doing toy videos in 2018, and at that time, this figure was 17 years old. I can't believe it's already 21 years old now, and that much time has passed. It sure went by pretty quick. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up, and if you have any thoughts, please leave a comment. I love reading and responding to them. And while you're at it, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I would certainly appreciate it, and it would help my channel grow. I do a retrospective on a toy from my vintage collection every Wednesday. So hope to see you next week and every week after, here on Creed's Collection.